Ross, it was a pretty like an arm wrestle for most of the night, but you managed to prevail against a team that's been in pretty good form heading into tonight.
Yeah, they've certainly got a lot of respect in the competition, how they've been going about it. We took a lot out of last week with our spirit and our competition, so it was a bit of a... We didn't think it should have been such an arm wrestle. Like, we thought we were dominating entries. We had 56% time in front half, 56 entries to 45. None of it's always about that because we've seen finals with plus 22, like Melbourne, and lost, haven't they? So we're a little bit frustrated. We're really pleased with the system and our stoppage work that can be a weakness at times. So, but our inability to cash in was incredibly frustrating and left the door ajar for them. We didn't have to make many mistakes. So it's a really frustrating scoreline when you think how many, got the ball back in the right areas, had a lot of looks and just couldn't cash in. So if I take that out of it, I was really pleased with a lot of things we did. They're a pretty good ball movement team. What probably surprised us is they shifted their ball movement from their signature go and, longer kicking from the get-go a little bit. So we weren't sure about that, but we were happy to accept it. So it could have gone either way in the end, but I would have been devastated if we had lost that game because I didn't think we should have been in that position. So,
You mentioned the forward, the lack of reward. What do you put that down to? Is it the delivery or the cohesion? Or was it a bit of both?
Yeah, I think it's a bit. We had people out running and Max King one-on-one, and I thought, and we just missed them. Or, we missed some really easy gettable snaps. We thought third quarter, a lot of shallow entries. We thought they're a really good roll-off team. We thought early we hit a lot of marks and couldn't finish. So there's a lot of different pieces in that, but are we frustrated? Yeah, we're pleased we got the points and competed really well. And I think our fans and members would say, geez, we had a big go. There was a lot to like, but, we've got a lot to tidy up. It's just... even we know for the year, our forward 50, when we get the ball back off teams, like we're the lowest goals in the competition, even though we get it back as much. So a bit of decision and execution. So we'll just keep working through that.
David Hardwick, I think, said it was terrible, horrific sort of...
Terrible and horrific. The game of footy as a whole.
How did you say it?
Yeah, well, that's interesting, like from an entry point of view, and they're a pressure team, aren't they? They like to pressure it and play a front half game. We felt we played the front half game. Sometimes that can get messy. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So they had 19 backwards kicks, we had 6. So I thought we went forward. I felt we took it on. But, yeah, the messy bit for us is leaving a stack of goals on the table, So, I wouldn't say that's typical of the way they played. I'm not sure, but 56 entries is pretty good for us, So attacking mid-possession against 21, the comp average is 19. But we got it in the right areas, A lot of entries from possession game. We just couldn't finish. So if it goes back to the middle, there's less build-up. But I think some of those skill errors by us laid, so we just got to keep working on getting better. If that's what made it horrific, I don't know. I'm not here to comment on Damien. They'll be disappointed. They set themselves. But I thought we were in control for most of the game. We just couldn't convert. That's what it felt like. Man, if you go to the numbers, which you shouldn't do impressive, but it's a bit of a worry, like entry by quarter, like 15 to 7, 10 to 10, 18 to 14, 13 to 14 was the only quarter they won. So, look, they're a very talented team and they're a young team. The competition knows what's going on up there and, all those young players that are developing. So, we're pleased to get the win. That's 2 in a row and we go up to Brisbane and fight on again,
You seem, it appeared to me anyway, that you seem to be quite prepared for them to, as you mentioned, chip around and back your back line to sort of just hold firm.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'd say is we locked it in our front half a lot. 21 attacking mid-possession games a lot. That's without our forward 50. So 56% of the time was in our front half. Well, that's a good stat. I don't think that's collapsed back footy.
And just on your back line, obviously Dougal went down quite early. Just the performances of, I guess, Wilkie and Battle in particular.
Yeah. So, Doug with a bit of a hammy. Seb Ross, to his credit, went back, formed part of the back seven. And then, I thought Wilkie and Battle were fantastic. I thought all the backs were pretty good, but we put a lot of pressure on, and sometimes you take all those marks to keep that pressure off you. So, they're trying to keep the pressure off by taking a lot of marks. So, it's a bit of a cat and mouse, I suppose.
How did you see the free kick at the end, the McAndrew Max kick, obviously kicks?
Yeah, I'd say I've been to grand finals where I could bang on about free kicks, but I never have, good or bad. So I'm not here to bang on good or bad. People get kneed in heads, don't get paid free kicks. Stuff happens. Everything's good till it's not, isn't it?
The job of Marcus, another scalp he's taken, and a big scalp as well.
Yeah, a lot of respect for Touk Miller. We know their midfield's in youthful and on AFL player ratings. I think the 3 seed in the top 15. So, but Paddy Dow's growing for us. Steele's feeling a bit more supported. And I think it gives Windhager a real focus, and then he still gets the same amount of ball he would get if he was just running around. So I think it's a bit of a win-win. And I thought Hunter Clark was significant early. We broke the tag late to free it up, and then Marcus had the last 3 clearances, I think. So that's all credit to him. So he's a young player, third-year player that we're investing in, and it's good that he took his moment,
And speaking of moments, Cameron needing in that touch on the goal line with Ben Ainsworth's shot on goal. It's just a game of inches, isn't it?
Well, it is a game of inches. You got to fight. It's a real margin business, isn't it? Like, Brisbane, when you look at their form, all their KPIs are really strong, except their accuracy hasn't been doing them any favours. If they were as accurate as they expected to be, they'd probably be in a lot better position. And then you look at some other teams that have been accurate and it works for them. So sometimes it's not all what it seems.
With the hard tag, how does that sort of, the hard tag and where it sits in the modern game in terms of a team defence, is it back in vogue?
Well, clearly it's in. Look, I've always run with the tag, except from 2016 on, I just dropped playing a tag. I had dinner with Ryan Crowley in Perth last week, and we just reminisced and had Clint Jones, and I was a midfield coach of Sydney. We had Brett Kirk. So, and all those teams played team defence. Well, St Kilda and Sydney. So it's combination defence. You can run a tagger and have a team defence. It's mythical to think you can't.
Bradley Hill seemed to sort of cop a knock to the head.
He got a knock to the head, no concussion. They'll check him out. We're pretty confident he'll play next week.
Dougal, how worried are you about the hamstring?
Yeah, that would be, I think, 21 days. It's the same one he sort of did early in the year. So unusual, like he hasn't missed a beat, except the earlier hammy. So, it's not ideal for him, but, Cordy played well at Sandringham. We had Schoenmaker, who's a young tall. So, we want to keep blooding some kids where we can as well. Thanks. Yeah.
Last one, just the holding the ball. It's obviously 2 weeks in the new interpretation. Just fascinated to hear how you're seeing
Probably
it.
suits us, to be honest. A couple of things, we weren't great at fighting the tackle. I used to get rid of it pretty quick, so probably suits us. And there's some monstrous mids out there that could stand in a tackle for 5 minutes and never get pinned for holding the ball. So I think it's got to be more realistic, particularly in context of you can't take people to ground. So you got to give to get, right? So if you can't sling, well, you got to give a little bit back to the tackler. And I feel like it's reasonable. I thought late. If you want to dive in, there was a couple of interesting ones that were just let go, weren't there? So look, the umpires, you could go, I don't tend to dive there because it's an incredibly hard job. And over 300 games, sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. And generally, it's not why you lost the game or won the game. And it's so hard to get umpires in junior footy. So it starts here. If we're sitting here talking about umpires, it makes it really hard to recruit them. Thank you.